All right, everybody. Good night to you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever it is you tune in. Hope everything's going well for you. We're trying to keep up with everything that's going on. I got my laptop open right now as we speak, just in case any more like rumors and news comes about during this. I know it's late, but I just saw an update a couple of minutes ago about like, oh hey, the Vikings have like X, Y, and Z players that could be on the trade block too. So it's like at this point, you don't know what's going to happen and when it's going to happen. Just know
DK
that
Metcalf,
keep your head on a swivel when it comes to the NFL news at this week. So, um,
especially especially with all the quarterback news going on in the last 24 hours.
yeah, it is wild. Um, who'd have thought that like something as big as like Calvin Ridley would just be like, oh yeah, out of sight, out of mind. All right, let's move on.
That basically only lasted for like 12 hours. Yeah, it went from Calvin Ridley to Russell Wilson to Carson Wentz for like 2 hours to back to Russell Wilson.
Well, Aaron Rodgers was a part of that too.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers.
But
Well,
yeah, man, dude, like you have like a whole year long suspension, and the news about it barely lasts like a work day. That's how it
and
is
not
now.
just not just a year suspension, but a suspension now make you miss 2 years in the league.
Yeah, it's 1 year at least. That's what they've been saying. So, whew. So as we get into these conversations, um, there's a couple of things that we want to consider here. I didn't really make the banners; they just kind of came in. But whew, what's on your guys' mind as of right now, as far as everything? You want to talk
Um,
about like the Carson Wentz
for
thing,
me,
or
I think the NFL is starting to boom off again. And not just with the quarterback news, but with like the extensions, the 2022 suspensions, um, cuts, all of these,
yeah, you got
and
franchise tags too?
franchise tags. I mean, we just had Russell Wilson, who I thought was going to stay on the Seahawks. I thought it was no way the Seahawks were going to trade him after how they said they were going to keep him and they weren't going to trade him just a couple weeks ago. And it goes back to what Terry and Arthur said a couple days ago, that if some team blows them away with a deal, and it may not be a Russell Wilson type deal, but a deal close to that, we never know. Matt Ryan may be on another team, and to be honest, it still is a couple of teams that need a quarterback. You got the Colts now. They just traded away Carson Wentz, but I think they needed to do that. Wentz was going to hold them back. Um, you could name the Bears, but they're probably going to let Fields take the wheel, full control of the wheel next year. Um,
Well, here's the difference so far with what I'm seeing with the Russell Wilson trade and what our situation might be. The This is of course after the trade, but still with this trade, however way you want to shape out where the money goes and like who pays for Russell Wilson's contract after this point, the Seahawks still have $49 million in cap space.
mm,
Yeah, that's
um,
not us.
yeah, I mean, we just got out the negative, and we're barely in the positive right now, even after cutting really. Because right now, if we were to go into free agency with the money we have, we basically only be able to sign one of the players that we were able to sign last year.
But at the same time, like you take a look at what the Packers were doing with, like they had like the second worst cap situation right behind the Aints, and it wasn't even close with those two. Like they were having a snail race to see how much they can lose, but they still wanted to extend Aaron Rodgers. They still wanted to extend Devontae Adams. I don't know how the heck they accomplish those. So what do you figure at this point? It's like us with our little measly $1 million that we got to worry about. It's like how much are we really worried about here about the cap? If moves like this can still be made.
To be honest, I would. So last year we kind of saw this happen. Last year we had really the first couple of restructures and with Matthews and Grady a couple of days before free agency, most notably around this time on like Thursday, Friday, like the weekend before free agency. And then of course you had when they restructured around on the day of free agency. Right now, I to be honest, they're probably talking contract extensions with those top four cap hits right now. To be honest, because you just saw the top pass rusher in the in free agency go off the board last night with the Titans re-signing Harold Landry. Bobby Wagner's a free agent now, so if you end up losing Foyer, Bobby may not cost that much because one, he's kind of over. He's like 32, 33, and he didn't
I
really
think he's
have that best of a
31.
year last year either.
But yeah, I've been telling this to other people. It's like, if you think that we can't sign Foye, what gives you the confidence that we'll get Bobby Wagner?
Yeah, I mean Wagner
I
just
don't-
came from a Super Bowl winning head coach, so
right.
and the contract that he had, I think he was supposed to get, if they didn't cut him, I think he was supposed to get like 14.5 million. That's basically what Foye is asking for.
Yeah, and then even if you were to do something like franchise tag Foye, that's like $17 million because he's got to get like the top dollar of the position group, and because of a contract like Darius Leonard, that's what's going to spike it up. So he's not going to get like a 10 or whatever kind of $1 million. You're going to get like Darius Leonard or like Fred Warner money, and that's
Something we
I don't
just
know.
don't have right now. It's just something we don't have right now unless we backloaded the contract. But then that will hurt us in the future.
You can't do that on a franchise tag. It's just a 1 year.
Because if let's say we re-sign for you to like a 5-year, $90 million deal, okay, and we backload most of that contract, and from 2023 to 2026, we're supposed to be in the top 3 of cap space for any team in the NFL, and especially 2024. 2024, we have like $67-68 million in cap space. Now, of course, that's going to change mainly because of this year. But then you have to think about it is, let's say next year. So no, let's say this year we're a little bit more competitive, and we win 10, and we go 10-7, 11-6, losing the wild card or divisional round. But we just needed a couple more pieces that we could have found in free agency, but we didn't have the money for it. Now we got to pay Foye too. It's not like this year where we had to pay Grady, Matt Ryan, Jake, and Dion. Now you got to pay Foye too. So that takes away from like the $44 million we have next year. And if you're paying him what looks to be Fred Warner money, so about between $18 and $20 million, it's just the Dion. It's just basically about $48 million tied up into one position. That's really the easiest position to find nowadays.
Wait, I have a question. When Le'Veon Bell left the Jets, was he cut or was he traded for? No, he was cut. But what happened? Because I know that the Chiefs got him for like $5 million. And I think that was because they were talking about it on TV, saying like that the most someone can really offer him is like half that contract. So I was thinking maybe that's something that we could do for Bobby Wagner if we were considering doing that, even though I don't really think that's likely. But.
You want to take that one, Noah?
Le'Veon Bell. Did you guys realize he's still currently in the Bucks?
He still is?
No, I didn't know that.
I thought they released him after the playoff game or before it.
Maybe Spot Rank hasn't updated itself, but they're still saying that he's on that team. As for the contract situation that happened with him, it doesn't really say how he got out of it, but he got off. He signed the 4-year, $52 million deal for the Jets back in 2019. Then played like those 2 seasons. Then was found on the Chiefs. Signed just a bare minimum 1 year, $1 million a year to try to ring chase, and then signs this got to be a typo. A practice squad deal with the Ravens for a 1 year, $168,000.
Oh yeah, he did sign to the Ravens practice squad last year.
And then either he got hurt or he got beat up by Devontae Freeman there. But whatever the case may be, man, that dude was struggling for money.
He went from
That's rough.
He went from being paid he went from being the highest paid running back in the league to being a practice squad player. People were
Okay. Yeah, and then he got waived by Tampa Bay back in January.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Wow, his contract with Tampa Bay lasted exactly a month. He signed back on December 22nd, then got waived in January 22nd. My goodness.
That's rough.
Whew.
I'm not gonna say I kind of feel bad for him because he did hold out an entire year.
No. You don't feel bad for him because of that rap album he put out. All right.
Yeah.
I feel bad for him because he had Adam Gase to deal with. That's what I feel bad about. I feel bad about that he had Adam Gase to deal with. Anyone that had to deal with Adam Gase, I feel automatically sorry for. That's utter incompetence. I don't even want to talk about it. Anyway,
I feel bad for Mike Tomlin after all this.
Yeah, I mean, I do feel bad for Mike Tomlin. That's true.
Who would have thought 4 years ago that Antonio Brown would have left and had that little stunt he had? Le'Veon Bell wouldn't be on the team. Juju Smith-Schuster became a TikTok star, and Ben Roethlisberger his career basically would have ended the day he hurt his shoulder.
That's rough.
All in 4 years. And that year that Le'Veon wanted out, they nearly went to the AFC Championship game again, except they had to face the Patriots that year.
Yeah, I mean, he was on his franchise tag back in 2018. I don't know how far they got into that year. But he did have that holdout. I'm not sure when that happened.
I think that was 2018 too, because he signed that contract in 2019. It was like a 4-year, $53 million deal.
Yeah.
And he signed that on like one of the first days of free agency. And then he was dealing with injuries throughout the first year, had like 600, 700 rushing yards. 2020.
He didn't leave the team. He actually got cut.
Yeah, he got cut.
He got cut?
Yeah, in 2020. Jets? And then he didn't sign for another. He ended up signing to the Chiefs the year that they had lost the Super Bowl. And then, of course, this past year ended up signing to the Ravens when J.K. Dobbins and who was the other running back? Gus Edwards. Yeah, Gus Edwards ended up tearing ACLs. And then I'm guessing somehow below 24 ended up beating him out, and it just ended. It went on from there.
Ooh,
like I said, it's kind of crazy how that transition happens, where you go from maybe the best running back in the league to rookie running backs in the 5th round could beat you out.
Yeah, that's really rough. That really is rough. But speaking about the Alabama wide receivers, I mean, Sauce, Sauce might be CB1. I mean, he might be.
What kind of transition was that?
I don't know. I look. I was literally just watching like the national championship over again, and then I was looking at it, but what really like. The crazy thing is, like, none of his tape really impressed me, like, a whole ton. It's when I watched, like, the Cincinnati Bears, or whatever they're called. They have, like, mic'd up moments. And literally, I saw him play with, like, the most textbook of technique just in that mic'd up situation. And I was like, all right, yep, no thought about it. And I was sold. I was sold literally just off of one play. I was sold.
Man, I
What's
think
going on, Jarvis?
what's going on, George?
What's going on? How y'all doing, man?
Pretty good,
Doing all right?
Can't complain.
Yeah, I'm out here in Phoenix, Arizona this week. I gotta do some military training, so as you know, Phoenix is desert, ain't nothing but a whole lot of sunshine.
Man, you should have felt North Carolina a couple days ago.
Well, I live in Missouri, so it was kind of nice to get some of this hot weather for me.
I feel you.
It's we surround. We got this idea from the Acids. He says, "Hey, let's just sign everyone. Hey, salary cap doesn't exist if I turn it off in franchise mode, right? So say get Chandler Jones, get Stephon Gilmore, get Bobby Wagner, and get Sauce Gardner. Who else? Yeah, just get everyone. We might have to sell the entire state of Georgia to make that work, but hey, it's worth it."
Oh yeah,
Is
that's
that
top tier logic. Top.
Zach?
Ooh. You know what? I should have thought about that sooner. That's crazy. I don't like. I'm stupid, man. I should have. Man,
I would have. Dude, this would have been like the best defense in like 3 years ago.
Yeah,
exactly.
Just those three.
And it's crazy. Like, we might not even have money to re-sign Russell Gage, Isaiah Oliver, or Cordero. Like, we're probably gonna have to choose between like two of them because we can't keep. I don't think we can keep all of them. Because if we're doing like restructures and stuff, that's like what, 31 mil. And Isaiah Oliver might want 10 mil plus the bonus, which is somewhere like around 14 mil.
Isaiah Oliver is not getting 10 million. There's no way.
Well, I don't think he's gonna want less.
No, because
we have the advantage of him only playing 3 games for us when he was good on our side.
Yeah,
he didn't have that much leverage when it comes to contract negotiations.
Because if you think about it, he was really never that good before he was put in the slot. Now, of course, he has some spurts here and there before Dean Pease got to him. But like Noah said, he only had basically 3 good games with us before he ended up tearing his ACL. And if he goes into free agency, no one's gonna sign this man until probably near the start of the next year. And his best chance to really even start on the defense or get playing time right now is to just stay with us, stay in the DNP system. I hope you studied it while you were out there rehabbing your knee. But right now, I mean, you could keep all of them, but you have to make these extensions now. You cannot wait till next week. You have to make these extensions now, because if you do not, it's going to end up being, well, now we got to fight other people or other teams just to get these guys back, because Russell Gage is probably going to end up getting like at least $25 million. Number 3 and 2 wide receivers that at least get 700, 800 catches nowadays are getting at least 15, 20, 25 million.
Yeah.
Russell
he missed
Gage,
out on a few games too.
Cordell, probably, I'm praying he, comes back on a little 2-year, $8 million deal. Be a little friendly, man. I mean, as you see right now, we're not at Outback Steakhouse. We're not at Longhorn. We're at the what's the restaurant I could think of?
We have food at home.
Yeah, we don't have McDonald's money right now. We don't have McDonald's money. And I think these players know that too. So kind of come into that too, to say, well, I think it's going to come down with Russell. I think it's most going to be Russell. I think Cordell's going to be straight with us. He'll probably end up coming back. For me, for Russell, is he's had 2 back-to-back breakout seasons, basically.
True.
He's going to want his money. And
as he should.
Yeah, as he should, because he's been very good these past few years as a number 2 and 3 guy, and sometimes even a number 1 guy this year. But it comes to a point to where it's like, okay, if you're not paying me that much this year, y'all have to promise me that y'all at least pay me at least $10 million in the next 2 seasons.
Right.
I
think he's getting 10 million.
But you know what?
That's what's up.
If I may interject, so kind of off subject here. one of the things we talked about earlier about, when that comment came up and saying, hey, let's sign such 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 such, and also let's get Garner. I guess too many people got this notion of the whole Los Angeles Rams being $49 million over the cap, and was able to get Von Miller, OBJ, and all of this stuff. We th- that set a bad precedent towards the NFL because it was like we're gonna build these super teams no matter what the super salary cap is. So as a Falcons fan, talk about a general Falcons fan looking at it like, well, if they did it, we can do it. And it just set a bad precedent, man, over and over. And don't be surprised if you keep seeing these types of things come up every time in the comments. Hey, let's get this. I think the person who wrote that in the comment was just being funny. But you got some Falcons fans out here really think that we just need to. I don't care what the salary cap is. Let's go ahead and get such. And matter of fact, let's get all the first round draft picks.
Like, I really want to see those same people try to go shopping.
Really,
I don't want to see that. No,
like
I
a
want
$20
to
budget.
Hey, look, tell them you got to buy food for about 2-3 weeks and 2.5 weeks and a half to last, and give them about 100, 150, 180, and tell them to go spend it reasonably. Because the thing about that Rams thing is the Rams had like 48-52 million dollars in cap space last year, even with the Jared Goff, and Aaron Donald and Jalen Ramsey contract. The thing was, they didn't have these big time players on the team yet. They had a
Don't
bunch
forget,
of
they actually also had Todd Gurley's dead money too.
yeah, they had Todd Gurley's dead money, but then that kind of cleared up after last year. Plus, you didn't know Cooper Kupp was going to basically have a 2,000-yard receiving season. You didn't know Aaron Donald was basically going to have a warmonger playoff run. You didn't know you was probably going to end up trading. Well, actually, no, they probably knew they was going to end up trading for Matt Stafford. But other than that, you didn't really know about all these other guys. So, of course,
And then they're sacrificing all the stuff that we would consider to be useful, like draft picks, and like their first pick in the draft from last year was like Tutu Atwell. Did you even hear anything about him? No,
he
because
was
they
in
didn't really
third
matter.
round.
We
They
didn't see the
they
field.
built it with another strategy. It was their whole strategy of, hey, let's sacrifice 5 years of our future to try to win now.
That
And
first
even
draft
then, like
If I'm not
once they
mistaken,
won
they
that,
also
once they won that, it's like, oh, well, the coach might retire. Oh, then Aaron Donald might retire, and then their left tackle might retire, and then Matt Stafford technically has nothing else to prove. And it's like, yeah, you just left your team in shambles, and also you have no resources to rebuild with and try to get better either.
And the thing about that is their first round pick isn't until 2024. That could end up changing too, because we seen how their GM likes to crapshoot picks. He doesn't care, and
Well, that's Snead for you, man. That's Les Snead. He was on our staff at one point with Thomas Dimitrov.
Oh, jeez.
I think he's the reason why we
and
traded up Julio on that drive.
if I'm not mistaken, I think they also like lost a pick for like cap situations, not even for trading. I think it was like some logistical reasons and they just lost the pick, if I'm not mistaken. So
I
that
believe
kind of
it.
is the indicator.
That's probably going to happen for the Aints too this year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
with the Aints right now, they don't have many more contracts they can restructure right now other than Lattimore, and Lattimore only clears up $20 million. They are in like 40. They still got $46 million over the cap, so they're still the worst.
Oh damn.
The Packers are kind of like near the green light now, so they're still in the worst. And then when you only have one contract, you can basically restructure to nearly get there. You still need basically about 3 or 4 more contracts to restructure. And to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they lose one of those first or second round picks, because it might end up happening.
Yeah, and like I said, even with us, with the $11 million that Calvin Ridley fumbled the bag away, what he did. Um, what I don't like how the NFL goes is, okay, the guy was suspended for the rest of the year, right? He had essentially the $11 million that we had to owe him for the fifth round draft pick is gone, but he still gets to be on the team. I don't like that because next year he's going to be actually due that $11 million because it's the fifth year option that he signed. So we're just postponed for right now, but next year we'll be on the hook for that.
I get, yeah. And honestly, if you ask me, just from a different perspective, like I really don't think that he deserved a 1 year suspension. Now, I'm not making any excuses for Calvin Ridley, but I just don't think he deserved a 1 year suspension, which now just hurts us because we're waiting 1 year. We have to accept this fifth year option. We might not be able to trade him the year after, so we have to pay him big money, or we just leave him, and which is even worse because we don't get value for him. So it's just like terrible, quite honestly. It doesn't really.
I think because if everything carries over to the next year, then the zero dead cap will also carry over too. So even if we cut him before we have to give him the 5th-year option, it would still. I mean, it would hurt us in terms of like trying to get anything out of him, but it really wouldn't hurt us financially, at least. One thing I will say is the salary cap numbers will be increasing for the next 2 years. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, from what I can tell, because like the base salary cap right now is at $208,200,000. 2023, the base will be $225 million, and then in 2024, the base will be $256 million.
What I'm interested in is not really even this free agency, it's next free agency. Because next free agency is where our contracts are a whole lot friendlier. Like Matt Ryan's contract is friendlier even though it's expired.
Well, I think it's got like a void year attached to that, right?
Mm-mm.
Or is that
wait?
No.
No.
Basically, what Ryan is, if you eat this $48 million dead cap this year, and you take it to next year, his dead cap is, I think the dead cap like next year is 22 million, 20 million, but you end up saving like 30 something million if you ended up trading him. And then of course Grady's contract, Devo's contract, Jake Matthews' contract end up running out next year. You have AJ Terrell, he'll be that'll be his that next year will be his kind of contract year next year too. Who else?
I think no, because AJ Terrell can be extended with a 5th year.
Yeah. So yeah, you got that. So basically, it's like AJ's most likely, if he keeps playing the way he is, he'll probably end up being on the team for another 5-8 years.
And then also next year, Chris Lindstrom, he's going to get that 5th-year option.
He's going to get paid, but not. I don't think he's going to get paid that much.
Oh,
like he's kind of like a sleeper, and don't get me wrong, I like Chris Lindstrom too. I don't think he's perfect, but I think he's really good, and I think he's gonna get paid kind of appropriately. But honestly, like I think that just next off season is where things are a lot easier on us because Matt Ryan's contract is more suitable if you really wanted to do something with that contract, even though I know we're not. And then Grady's gonna be expiring, which hopefully we learned from last regime to just like pay him less because I think he's getting paid a little much for me. Like 16 mil for an interior defensive lineman is just not for me unless you're Aaron Donald. So I don't know.
I think the thing with that is, you go, Jarvis.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, man. So this is where I so for this team, we got so many high hopes. You know, I've been following or looking at Bleacher Report. That's my two things. I look at Bleacher Report and I look at NFL Network. My two sources that I go to. And ever since Russell Wilson got traded, man, it's like you see all of these trades talking about, well, Matt Ryan go to the Washington Commanders, and now they just got Carson Wentz. So now it's Matt Ryan. We can trade him to Tennessee and get Ryan Tannehill. It's like, man.
We're not trading him for nothing.
Oh boy!
But speaking of which, like that Commanders trade is. Ooh.
I thought you were gonna say the Colts at least. That could have made sense. Tennessee.
I
Oh
mean,
no.
the Colt, you seen that the Colt that was the Colts' biggest move they had in the past 20 years ever since they hired that GM, and
Yeah,
it's
and
like,
now Darius Leonard just recently texted out. He's like, dude, I've been here for 5 years and got 5 different quarterbacks.
yeah, Phillip Rivers, you had Jacoby Brissett, um, the Washington quarterback they had that one year. You just had Carson Wentz. Um, you had that one rookie that got beat.
Sam Ellinger.
Yeah, Sam Ellinger. He got beaten senseless that his rookie year, and you're like, how in God's name have we made the playoffs 3 times out of that? Well, one, because they have a top 3 defense in the NFL that can basically do what the Saints did the past 2 years and carry their team to the playoffs. And two, their coaching staff actually drafts well. They're a very good drafting team. I think Frank Wright, even though he's a very flashy type guy, he's very physical too. Like, he knows when to run the ball. He loves the O line. He loves the trenches. So he knows how to run the ball, but he also knows how to pass it too. But when you can run the ball and have a good offensive line, any quarterback up in the backfield that's at least average to decent can go back there and at least get you to a playoff spot.
Like I think that I know I bring up this name too much, but I think Carson Strong is a really good fit there. Like,
From one Carson to another, huh?
I mean, he does. He said it himself. Like, one of his inspirations was Matt Ryan. He literally plays just like him. I'm not even joking. Like, he literally plays just like him. He makes great reads. I rarely ever see him make any mistakes, at least from a visual seeing the field perspective. He has a supremely better arm than Matt Ryan. He can't really move outside the pocket as well as like the flashier quarterbacks, and has like around the same athleticism as Matt Ryan. So he's not like a high potential guy, and he didn't show that good during the Senior Bowl, which I think had something to do. I don't know. I think it was just kind of uncharacteristic. I don't hold that much weight about what he did in the Senior Bowl because I think it was like really windy from what everyone was reporting. So I mean, I think that would be a good fit for Indiana because they need like guys that are accurate and also have the arm strength and processing ability, especially behind that O line and stuff.
I mean, any team wants that, but it's just a matter of can every quarterback provide that for them. It was interesting to see all the comparisons being made about Carson Wentz and then Taylor Heineke, which I didn't know that Taylor Heineke just suddenly had a bunch of supporters.
Yeah.
But,
He had a lot of supporters.
Man,
bro, people came out the woodwork supporting that man.
Yeah, no, not even out the wood. I live in DC. All you hear is Taylor Heineke here. Like, that's all you hear. You don't hear, like, you really don't even hear.
He wasn't even supposed to be the starter this year. Like, that was supposed to be Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Exactly. But the thing is, you don't even really hear that much about Chase Young or anything. You only hear Taylor Heineke. That's really all you hear. You don't hear really much about Terry McLaurin. You don't really hear anything about Chase Young. You don't hear nothing about Montez Sweat. All you hear is Taylor Heineke over and over and over. It's insane.
Well, I think maybe that fan base is still at the moment where it's like, just give me one just decent quarterback. Just give me one.
Indeed.
Man.
Indeed they are.
And the thing about that is the Taylor Heineke, he wasn't even known around the league until he had that one little scrambling touchdown against the Bucks back in 2020, where he had that diving touchdown and Chase Young pointed at his name. He was like, "Stop playing with my boy." That was like, ever since that touchdown, he's been god awful. Really, ever since that game, he's been god awful. I mean, bad throw after bad throw. And the sad thing is, we made Taylor Heineke look like he was a top 5 quarterback out there.
Oh, they made him. I don't think he was bad. I don't think he was great because like he played us and didn't make the best reads. But then again, like he got bailed out by Terry McLaurin. Like he literally threw it up to the sky, and then Terry McLaurin just caught it. Like this man runs around like he's playing Madden. I don't want to. It's rough.
I'm gonna tell y'all something.
I don't.
I hear y'all talking about all this other stuff, but I'm gonna be real with y'all. Grady Jarrett about to get traded, y'all. I'm telling you.
I mean, if so,
they
if it makes sense for the team. I mean,
from a financial standpoint, and I'm only saying this from a financial standpoint, it makes a lot of sense to trade Grady Jarrett right now. He's in his last year of his contract. You freed up somewhere around $15 million, which is more than I think if you were to extend him, which is you could really extend him, and because I think it frees up like 12 mil instead of trading him for 15 mil. But when you trade him, you get an asset and then 15 mil. So like, I don't know. But I think it's more likely that he gets extended because we're trying to go win now, and had the Falcons had said, "Oh, we're not sure about Matt Ryan. We'll address all this stuff later," or yada yada yada. Had they maybe considered the idea of trading Matt Ryan next year, then I'd be like, "Oh yeah, just go ahead and trade Grady Jarrett right now, and go ahead and trade Matt Ryan
next year."
Oh, they are.
They're most likely they're going to, and it's just the way of how they do it. It's gonna be two ways you can tell Matt Ryan's gonna be traded. Number one, they don't touch his contract at all. They eat the dead cap and they just say, "Okay, Matt, take it. It's better that we trade you now," because he's most likely gonna have one of those seasons where he goes into his second year under OC and drops like 30-some touchdowns to a bunch of no-name wide receivers and like a couple stars on the team, and then you trade him.
If Arthur Smith really wants him to do that, which it's a different philosophy from what we've had before.
Yeah, that ain't Arthur Smith. That ain't Arthur Smith play calling. That ain't his game.
Yeah, Arthur Smith, he wants us to play with a lead, and he wants to try to have us maintain or get that lead using the run game.
Right. But the thing is, like, you see, I was so confused last season. Like, I'm looking at our run game and I'm looking at the tape and I'm like, oh, our run game was good. But then I'm looking at the stats and I'm like, oh, our run game was bad. And I'm like, oh, okay. But then again, like late in the season, I started realizing that like Mike Davis is blind. So then, like, I kind of that kind of answered questions for me. Like, because like at first, right, when he wasn't making the right decisions, it was kind of justifiable because the offensive line weren't really creating holes that were quite obvious to see. Like, yeah, maybe you could have went there, but I wouldn't be mad at you for going a different way because they're not really gaining movement. But in that last game against the Saints, he had straight open, like, what's the word?
The Red Sea
alley.
split before him.
The Red Sea split. Like, oh my gosh, come to me now into the gates of heaven, open holes. And he just swerved. He said, nah, I'm good. And I'm like, what? This dude is whatever. Goodness gracious. Like,
he looks like someone that's just playing a first person game for the first time and is like can't work the controls and they're just like backed up into the corner. It's like, dude, everything's happening right over here.
No. He looks like if you're playing Madden, but then you drop the controller because you need to eat dinner, and then you flick in the wrong direction. It keeps on going. Like, I
Relatable.
can't. I really can't. Like that. Like, because I was backing this man up because it really was like justifiable. But he made me look like an idiot in week 17. Like, not only did he not gain any yards, but then he fumbled the ball like what, twice that game?
Yeah.
I was sick to my stomach. I was like, oh yeah,
Buffalo's
he's
equaled up
out of
in
there.
touchdowns too.
He's out of there.
Man, and I think the thing with Mike Davis is it's like okay, now the start of the season, like those first 7 games, you could tell the offensive line was still kind of gelling together with Matt Hennessy and Jalen Mayfield. They're like, okay, I'm trying to get used to these guys and how they run block and all of that. But after the Carolina game, where it was holes there, and the thing is, you could tell Mike Davis was just blind because Cordell Patterson, who's never played running back like that before in his life, he's barely had any running back attempts, was finding these little creases you could blow through and getting these little 20, 10, 15, sometimes even 20, 30-yard pop-offs. Like, okay, why can't Mike Davis do that? Well, because he's not looking at the hole. He and that touchdown that he had in the Buffalo game, he made that so much harder than it had to be. If he just there, so on those type of plays, the defensive line and the linebackers are taught to swarm down. They're taught to kind of shoot down, not go straight up, just shoot down to cut back to uh, gap all cutback lanes. And so when that person tries to go through that hole on the left or the right, whatever side you're going to, it's like a big brick wall right there. If he, half of the Bills D line did that, half of the Bills D line didn't. And if he just looks to the right a little bit, it's a walk in touchdown instead of him having to get dragged in by Jalen Mayfield. And I'm like, dude, like, I understand the offensive line isn't that good. They're pretty terrible, to be honest. They were, other than Lindstrom and Matthews, they were god awful. But it's like they were a good run blocking offensive line, and that was the weird thing. And it's like, well, if they're run blocking well, and Cordell is having success running the ball, there should be no reason that a full-time running back like Mike Davis should be having trouble finding easy holes to go through and getting 5 to 6 yards instead of 2 and 3. And
I think Mike Davis. Amy, my thing is, so I think Mike Davis, looking at it over the whole full body scope of work he had, I think he was trying to do too much. And that's not me playing devil's advocate, but just looking at him on film, I think Mike was trying to do too much. I think he was trying to put on for the city of Atlanta. That's where he's from. And I think he was trying to secure the bag. What I mean by that is, if I get all these touchdowns, if I show you that I can get these explosive types of runs, or if I can do these amazing little things, I can secure the bag and also put on for the city. That's
That's
what
It
I
was
right.
think.
like
Actually,
the running back's equivalent of being hero ball.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
no. It's the running back's equivalent of being just Saquon Barkley. Like that's really how it was. Like
Or Trent
there's a
Richardson.
video. There's a video kind of talking about there's a video on YouTube talking about like what's been going on with Saquon Barkley and how he's played for his entire career. Like sometimes he'll bypass open holes just to like get the explosive play. And that's kind of what Mike Davis was doing, but not really, honestly. Like he would bypass holes, but I don't think he knew that they were there. He just kind of like was trying to find openings so he could just run. He wasn't really trying to find a touchdown. He just was trying to find openings. And that, like, I think the one when people started talking about Mike Davis being replaced, it was on the Patriots game, and I thought that that's when I backed them up because I didn't think that was really fair because people were talking about Quadre Olison being better than Mike Davis, And I was like, well, that's comparing apples to oranges because they ran like different scheme concepts. That one which was more easier than the other. But I mean, in week 17, if Quadre Olison's outrunning you, then that's a problem. Like, and they ran the same concepts then. So there's no Quadre Olison. Nah, like he outperformed him. Like he just showed, nah, we don't really need you, Mike Davis. We don't need you like that. Because Quadre Olison was made him look like he had eyes. He
was a bruiser.
He just made me value his sight. I was like, dang, finally someone ain't blind. Like, goodness gracious. Someone got some glasses.
Needs those big old Eric Dickerson goggles.
Oh,
yes.
Man. Boy, no, you ain't shit for that one. When I see Eric the next time I talk to him, I'm going to tell him to talk about a damn glasses.
Shane Elliott here asking about how's everyone feeling about Jordan Davis now? Do we feel more comfortable taking him? I'm assuming that's what you're kind of get at. Like, do we feel comfortable taking him at 8 at this point because of what he showed off at Combine?
But if you trade Grady, that wouldn't be a good look though, because you're still gonna be lacking in the pass rush. So if you trade Grady and you pick Jordan Davis at 8, yeah, you feel a need for maybe someone who can give you some pass rush, but more so of a run stop. And not only that, yes, he showed his athleticism at the Combine, but he's been known to be a 2-down lineman. So what are you accomplishing here?
Yeah.
Now, in his defense, he has been trying to practice with Chuck Smith.
That is impressive. That is impressive, but I don't think that really warrants a top 10 pick, in my opinion. Like, yeah, showing pass rush upside is good, but like you better be like the Marvin Leo, like kind of ready if you're gonna be taken in the top 10. Like, I can justify him being top or being in the teens, kind of almost with his run defense alone. But with his pass rush, it doesn't move the needle for me, because like it's like kind of like taking Derek Brown early in the first round, and no one's doing that anymore. No one's taking nose tackles early in the first round anymore. The last
one that did that was like Vita Vea.
Right, and they're not doing that anymore. Like they're trying to like stray away from taking nose tackles early in the first round, and I think that's what people are missing. Like, what Jordan Davis, if he gets picked at 8, is gonna probably make more money than if we went out and just signed Sebastian Joseph Day, which, by the way, is like one of the most slept on D tackles in the entire NFL. Like, I'm just saying. And he's coming from the Rams, and they can't afford nothing. I'm just saying. But like, if Jordan Davis is getting paid more than a average nose tackle, or not average nose tackle, a decent nose tackle, imagine what he's gonna want after his contract is up. Like, ain't no way I'm about to pay a nose tackle somewhere near $10 million. Ain't no way. I'm not doing that. That's ridiculous.
No, because I bring up Vita Vea. Look at what he just signed.
Ridiculous. I'm not doing
got paid.
Forget it. Forget it. Absolutely not. That's ridiculous. I love Jordan Davis. Not paying him like $50 million. Like Quinn Williams, who's probably the more understandable defensive lineman pick. He was chosen second. Like, yeah, I think he gets pressures, but he hasn't really gotten double-digit sacks, if I'm not mistaken.
No, he has not.
He hasn't gotten double-digit sacks. No, he gets pressure. But he just doesn't get sacks. And I'm not paying.
Well, that's the thing, though. Defensive linemen don't get paid off of pressures; they get paid for sacks. Yes, I understand pressure is good because he had like a as a defensive tackle, he had like a 25% pressure rate.
Yeah.
But it's like Vita Vea has a 12-point pressure rate and got that kind of money.
And that's ridiculous.
And I agree with you, because it's like you got those guys who get that kind of money, and they don't give you more than anything outside of being a run stuffer. Now, if that's what you value on your team, I get it. That's what you value on your team. But as far as Atlanta, we can't afford to pay no defensive tackle that's going to be. And I see what Noah is saying. He's working with Chuck North. I mean, Chuck Smith. Damn, Chuck North. Chuck Smith.
It's like Chuck Norris. I was like, hey, is that an upgrade? Training with Mr. Miyagi too.
Yeah, wipe on, wipe off, baby. But wax on, wax off. But for that will be putting us back a long way if we was to get a defensive tackle and pay that joker $50 million to be a 2-down lineman and only gives you 10% of pressures each year.
And the thing about Quentin Williams, I just looked it up. He has, in his rookie year, got 11 pressures, 2.5 sacks. Next year gets 20 pressures, 7 sacks. And then this recent year had 16 pressures and 6 sacks. So even if he's getting like money off of the pressures, oof. For a number 2 overall pick?
Yeah. And he does have pieces around him in New York that do also get pressure, but they don't have a great edge rusher outside of Carl Lawson, and he really doesn't get sacks.
Well, they got John Franklin Myers.
Yeah, John Franklin Myers gets more pressure than sacks per se, but
he's a technicality. He get more pressures than sacks.
And but John Franklin Myers is like kind of really underrated. Speaking of which, I should take this time to mention that Caleb McGarry did well against him too. I thought I should just point that out. Because I'm gonna kind of use this case to I'm gonna kind of use these edge rushers as a case to kind of say why I think Caleb McGarry not should be resigned, but shouldn't be harped on as much as he is. I know that he's not great. He's maybe not even good. But to call him trash is low-key disrespectful. Just the sheer battle of fire that he went through is insane. A lot of tackles aren't really facing that like that. And I think it's kind of crazy. He does really decently compared to other tackles that are seen across the league.
Mm-hmm. But guess what though? It's not his fault. It's not his fault that Thomas Dimitrov drafted him number 31 in the first round. So somebody sleep, bro.
Yeah, I was like,
they having a good nap.
Yeah, Trey gone, bro. Hey, you might want to mute Trey, bro.
Trey out there chilling. He yep. Yes,
sir. Trey out there sounding like a grown man bear.
I thought I could try to aid it with turning up the background music or just up a little bit more. I'm like, nah, it's not working.
No. As soon as we started talking about Jordan Davis, that's when the NyQuil kicked in.
But Trey gotta go to school.
This is where the phrase "stay sleeping on some people," huh?
Yeah, Trey gotta go to school. He's 14 years old, man.
Oh man.
Oh, for real?
What you gotta do?
I know they're young, man.
Oh man, they already roasted him in the
chat. Someone said he sounded like a tractor. Oh no.
Is it LT sleep? Oh man.
Yeah, he dead to the world.
All right. Well, I guess Alex just laughed himself out of the stream too. By the way, I think I still got the link up.
You do.
I tried to star it on my side, so hopefully I can help him hop back on here.
But what's your take on everything? I know you came on the other day when Mike K Styles was going off, and then Chauncey and then when it was going off with the whole Calvin Ridley thing. But what is your take about this upcoming season, man? How do you feel about it?
Well, when it comes to Calvin Ridley, like the decision has already kind of been made for us as far as really what to think about him. Now, it's just a whole matter of, okay, well, do you actually have mental illness and that's what caused you to make such a stupid move? Or are you using that as a mask to help you hide under the radar for this kind of action?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about the same.
Because like, dude, for that much of a gamble, like, you gotta literally be out of your mind. So it's just it doesn't make any sense to me as to why that kind of thought would pop in his head like that. So I mean, if he is using that as a mask, which I can't confirm or deny it, or as of right now, of course, but if he is, dude, you just messed it up for anyone else that actually has that problem and is trying to reach out for the help.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna tell you right now, Noah. You know what's coming, but we ain't done about shot. You and I and the team that's on here, we're not done by long. Listen, this is what's about to happen. You think contracts are fucked up now? Excuse my French. You think they fucked up now for the players? You about to see all kinds of addendums, amendments, clauses, all kinds of things dealing with mental illness. If you got mental illness and you need to reach out for help, owners about to start taking money back out of your pocket for the games you don't play. Watch, it's coming. This is coming. And then they're gonna either.
It makes it so much worse because he then hops on Twitter and just digs his own grave even further.
Yeah.
If you would have just shut up, if you would have just shut up, we wouldn't have learned that. But you don't realize that the lower the number, the more embarrassing it is that you got caught.
It is. Because you just fumbled the bag for $11 million. You paid $1,500 and lost 10 something, $11 something million.
Yeah, it was the 11.1 that he was going to be earning for this year. And on top of that, because of how good he can be for another team, because we've already had our conversations about his usefulness on our offense. But,
yes,
dude, he can still run routes and he can still catch. After that, heck if I know. I mean, who's to say what he does, what he thinks about after he gets the ball in his hands? Considering his actions, wants to zigzag everything else and whatever the case may be. But, oh, geez, Alex's phone had died. That's what happened.
His phone died?
Yeah. I don't know how he texted us that, but
he probably hopped on the computer.
Yeah, probably. But, I mean, the thing is that, dude, you would have had another contract on the way too. And now you want to be away from games, you don't want to be away from the team, and you want to keep this a secret. But you also been keeping other secrets possibly too, when it comes to, I don't know, about being on a yacht with women that you're not attached to in a romantic state. That doesn't help your case. You also wanted to talk about your stats as if that means something to us. You also want to go to other games. Is it possible that you bet on those games too? One can only speculate when the evidence hits the fan. And in the midst of all that, and now you're trying to defend yourself. There's nothing to defend. All right? Because you said all that kind of stuff, I would say, hey, there's no doubt that he deserves that full year of the way he's been talking. Because it shows he's got no remorse for it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the worst part.
None. When you
Like,
put
dude,
up
you
there,
got caught, and then you were like, it's only 1 year. It's only $1,500. No big deal. I'll be back. I'll be healthy. That's not the
what he said?
point.
He said something about LOL. He said, I knew I was wrong, and they give me a year. What the, bro? They're gonna investigate Nick Saban ass. And Nick gonna be blindsided because and what are you building down here? You know, and not only that, Roddy White and Julio Jones a couple years ago got in trouble with that camp situation. You know, and it's, what are your Alabama boys doing now here?
And we haven't even talked about Henry Ruggs.
Yeah, exactly.
And now Amari Cooper is being treated like dirt because he might get cut.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I mean, I didn't even really consider Jameson Williams or guys like John Mechie before. I'm sorry, but that doesn't really help your case either, just by proxy.
Hell no.
All right, and now that we saw the news about Cam Robinson, the left tackle for Jacksonville, he got a franchise tag. Now it really kind of puts another question mark on where Evan Neal may land.
Yep.
You know, so it's like, dude, like your actions, they're actually affecting other people in terms of what kind of money they can make too.
It's the what they call it, a snowball effect.
Yeah.
So in the military, we use this term called shit rolls downhill. You think you doing something that's gonna just affect you? No, man. You know, you gotta be proactive and think that shit roll downhill and affect everybody else. You know, it's the same thing with a husband or a wife. Man, I'm gonna go out here and sleep with old such and such. They ain't gonna bother nobody. Yeah. You may never get caught. But the moment that person found out that you did that shit gonna just snowball.
Mm-hmm. Because
so
it also doesn't really strike me that he's the only one in the NFL that's doing that statistically at this point.
He the only one got caught.
Yeah.
The only one got caught.
And the fact that you did it on the only legal site in the state of Florida, which I know you're from there, but you're not supposed to be there when you got to play in Georgia. And then you want to be on that site, and then they got a device that lets you know. So it's like, dude, whether it was a bookie or whether it was your own name, dummy, whether it was your own name that popped up on that list, you don't think they're gonna know that?
At this point in time, man, I don't know what I'm saying anymore. I'm over it. I'm being honest with you. I'm over it. It's to the point now. Like I don't sit here trying to judge people. That's not what we're supposed to do. Our shit stank too. Okay, so I try to tell people to don't get this shit twisted. But at the same time, people who was behind you, capping for you, man. They had capes on for you, bro. Capes, and you just shit in their face, man. You was pissing on them and telling them it was raining. I don't know, man. I just
and then everyone else in between, they just didn't want to talk about it. It was such a taboo subject throughout this whole season. And then it really made you consider, like, well, what does the rest of the roster look like? And, you know, that shifted our focus from having to worry about just a couple more positions. And now you added another thing on top of us to have to deal with.
And either way, listen. So either way, Calvin Ridley was possibly going to be out with this or being traded. So they was already planning for him not to be here somewhat, okay? But I'm pretty sure they wasn't planning on not having that draft capital.
Right. I mean, think about it. Carson Wentz was worth 2 third-rounders. Mohamed Sanu was worth a second for New England.
That shit crazy.
I get you're like 27, 28, but dude, you're still young in the eyes of the NFL. You still had room to grow, and like I said, get yourself a second, possibly third contract if you really worked hard enough for it.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. I just don't know. And us being Falcons fans, you always ask yourself, man, why the fuck us, man? What did we do? Why it's always us?
I mean, you think that's how we feel? Dude, Arthur Blank has had all this happen under his nose his entire time. Guy's been nothing but a philanthropist and a staple of the city for all this time, in like the 20 years or whatever he's been the owner of the Falcons.
Mm-hmm.
Has done nothing but good so far in those 2 decades, and hey, it's hard to do something that good. It's hard to be good in the eyes of the public for 2 decades long. All right, ask literally any celebrity. All right.
Yep.
But then you have all this other stuff that's like, you know, you had the Vic situation, you had the Petrino situation, you had whatever the heck Jim Mora was going to give you. You had fake crowd noise, and a drop in a major drop in attendance. And now the only person, and that like one of the only people that are actually loyal to their own team, is getting shredded on as if it doesn't matter. And your own starting quarterback.
Yep. You know what?
Right. And by the way, like, he's the kind of guy that can be found in the worst parts of Atlanta with no protection.
Mm-hmm.
I guess he's kind of used to that at this point. But
he is, man. It's to the point now. You know what, Noah? I won't be surprised if Matt come on today and they trade him, or when he retires, he pull him like a Jordan and tell Atlanta, man, I appreciate my time that I played and my accomplishments and things that I've accomplished in my time, but fuck y'all. You know, it's like y'all put me through hell. You talked about my kids. What my kids got to do with this? You know, it's and you know, I tell Mike and K-Styles this all the time, and they don't want to hear it, and I understand. I'm not mad at them for not wanting to hear it. But what if the next owner, Arthur Blank's son, goes, man, I want to own the franchise, man, fuck this city. Yeah, Atlanta brings in a lot of revenue, but it ain't worth the headache.
Really makes you wonder.
You know, makes you, man. I mean, Arthur Blank is in his 80s now. He ain't gonna be around forever. The heir apparent is coming soon, which is the son. Son takes over and be like, yeah, my dad was loyal to this city, but this city was never loyal to my father. Man, damn this city. And pull a goddamn Seattle Supersonics, move to Oklahoma.
or have everything in the Mayflower buses and ship us off like a Baltimore Colts.
Baltimore Colts, you know, real quick. You know, it's like I'm grateful to have a team. Man, I live in states like I live in Missouri. Missouri had the loss to the St. Louis Rams. They're in LA now. They don't have a football team. I live in Mississippi. Mississippi people root for the Saints. They don't have a football team. You feel me? And it's like I'm grateful to have a football team that we can root for in our home state. But the home state don't love the football team back. Yeah, we all know the Falcons ain't been good on a consistent basis. Okay, that's not nothing that's a secret. We know this. Okay, but neither were the Browns. Neither were
that doesn't stop the Lions.
The Lions, the Jacksonville Jaguars, but they still have fans that support this team fully. And it's to the point
now. The Texans still have fans.
Come on. I'm gonna give you a better one. Mike said it best, and you was on that show when he said that. The city of Atlanta, they call it the Black Mecca of America. Okay, Black Mecca of America. Great jobs for a lot of business entrepreneurship opportunities for the Black community and so forth. I enjoy all that. Okay, I love it. But at the same time, they put that same notion on our football team. If it ain't a black quarterback, I don't want nothing to do with him. That black quarterback, goddamn Tom Brady could have came here. If it ain't a black quarterback who can run, I don't give a damn. I don't want nothing to do with it.
Well, if it was Tom Brady, then you better believe the double standards will reappear.
Oh, true. Touche.
Because he would have been the only exception to that rule. Because he's won here. Well, then he surely can win anywhere he wants. It's Tom Brady after all. Well, we're not going to deny him. And then all that can pull off right in front of your face, and it's like it just gives you that weird feeling that now, I mean, especially with teams like, I mean, I still don't like the image. Maybe it's just the Broncos uniforms. I just still don't like the Russell Wilson in that.
Russell Wilson. Yeah.
It just looks ugly to me.
But Falcons didn't want to do though. Falcons saying like, well, they traded for Russell Wilson. Why we can't trade for the quarterback that we want?
Like I said, the Seahawks still had like $49 million in cap even after this move.
Yes.
That plays a factor.
Every Sunday, I'm gonna play Madden. I'm gonna play Madden for every Sunday for the Falcons game. I'm gonna play Madden. I'm gonna play the entire football schedule every Sunday, so that I'm gonna turn off the salary cap and everything. I'm gonna make all these crazy trades and all this stuff, so they can actually watch the football that they want to watch on Sunday. That's what I'm gonna do. Shit's ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And like I said, I don't know what else to say about this football team. You remember the Joy Harringtons, the Byron Leftwich, the Chris Redmond situation. Nobody was winning.
Kirk Kittners, the Doug Johnsons,
yes, we look like ass out there. Okay, straight ass.
Heck, even Chris Chandler. I know that he took us to the Super Bowl, but he was someone else's backup at one point.
He was. And we get a winner. Yeah, Matt Ryan got a Super Bowl.
Hey, you want the strong arm? Jeff George. There you go. All right?
There you go. and threw an interception. 3 out of the 5 passes he threw. It's like, man, I don't know, man. Sometimes, as a real fan, I'm being real honest with you, man. Some days I wake up and I tell myself, why do I even go through with this bullshit? Why am I even a fan? Nobody else care about the team, so why should I?
And other people have had that resolve, which is like, I just a couple minutes before we hopped on, I just saw someone else on Twitter. It's like, yeah, the fan base is dead, so let's just get rid of Ryan just for his sake. I'm like, okay, well, you say that, but you also realize that a lot of people left the fan base because they were more attached to Julio than they were to the actual team. A lot of these fans are coming into the league because they don't have a whole lot of knowledge. Yeah, there's a lot of revenue and a lot of people, but not a whole lot of knowledge being spread around, or at least not enough. And so what that will create is people attached to certain people and will latch around the team that they're on just for the sake of watching their player, and then don't care to pay attention to anything else that goes on around them. So you'll have a bunch of people that'll see the throw that Matt Ryan made, but they'll only care about the catch that Julio made. It's like, dude, one has to happen. There's a cause and effect to that. One has to happen for the other to happen. And you're rooting for the effect, and you don't care about the cause. That's once you change that cause around, Julio can't make that throw because maybe the quarterback will panic too much, right? If you want a mobile quarterback or if you want a running quarterback, what that kind of tells me is that they're scared to stay in the pocket for too long. They have that internal clock, and they're going to be overconfident in their own talent to where they can compensate not being able to read the defense. They read the defense, they can make that one throw, but if it's too complicated than that, they'll just rely on their legs. And what happens if you rely on your legs and you don't have the offensive line to really compensate for you? You look like Justin Fields against the Browns.
Then you turn to Lamar Jackson.
Or Justin Fields against the Browns.
Yep.
Couldn't trust his eyes. And then the offensive line really couldn't help him trust his legs either.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're just stuck.
Because look at Vic. When Vic was playing quarterback, you seen it. Vic could break containment on the pocket. The offensive line just standing around looking.
Yeah, and we've had like interviews like years ago with like Kynan Forney. Like he'll hop onto the show and tell you like, hey, I didn't really like blocking for him because I would never know where he was at. I wouldn't know what the play ended, and it would just really confuse you because you couldn't really hardly do anything. Especially with the rules with the offensive line now, like you'll have blocking the backs and you won't even realize it. You know, if the play isn't over yet and you go across the forward, you cross the line of scrimmage, that's also a penalty. Yep. You know, and you'll have all those other situations that can occur just because you don't know what the heck's going on behind you.
You don't, and you don't have the time, and you don't have time to look behind you to see what's going on because as soon as you look behind you, the defense and the defensive tackle is going to bypass you.
Yeah. And then it also doesn't really help to know that you might be already in that locker room knowing that Vic doesn't really look at the playbook, knowing that he doesn't really pay attention to like an offensive coordinator like Greg Knapp and refuse to listen to him. All right. Vic said it himself. He's like, hey, I was going to try to use my talent alone to carry me until I was 30 years old. Then I can start worrying about how to play. That's not good. All right. And it just scares us to know that there's other quarterbacks that want to try to use that as a good example as to why they can be a quarterback too. And they make the same mistakes.
They do. They do. And you know, Noah, I know you've been doing content for quite some time now. Well, this is officially your first year, right? Like your fourth full year content.
Well, I hopped on here back in like late August, I want to say.
Late August, okay.
I didn't know about this channel until like April last year.
Just come across
to give you a point of view.
But hey, you will find just like Mike and K Styles and Jude, you're gonna find that you're gonna repeat yourself a lot on situations that you're trying to find an answer to. But there's no answer. And I told Mike, you know, I listened to Mike and his rants. It's funny to me because Mike be going off on the rants. But I look at Mike as far as, Mike, this is like your fifth rant about why people hate Matt Ryan or how they feel about Matt Ryan. It's
or like Deion Jones.
Yeah. I it is appreciated as a true fan myself, and of course you, to keep people knowing that, hey, motherfucker, we see this shit, so stop doing this. But at the same time, don't waste your hot air on these people, man, because they're going to continue to do the same thing. Whether you get on that and rant and tell them how you feel, they don't care how you feel because they keep doing it. You know,
you think these type of people want to say that you want to be proven wrong?
Over their dead body. Yeah,
be at the fault of their own.
I don't know, man. I just as a fan, it's hurtful, man. It's not even hurtful. It's baffling that we go through this every year. I can just imagine all the fans that left last year when Justin Fields went to Chicago. Should ain't no Falcons fan anymore?
Oh yeah, that was another thing. That's why the fan base was quote unquote dead. Again, they latch onto their own specific ideas, and when it doesn't fit their narrative, you don't see them in this chat no more.
No,
because they're off praising their God, their own Lord and Savior that hasn't proven anything yet.
Yep.
And it's been historic that, I'm sorry, but name a quarterback that used their legs to win a Super Bowl.
No.
I can give you some scrambling quarterbacks or some possible mobile quarterbacks, but at the times, like Russell Wilson, he didn't win that Super Bowl because of his legs. Steve Young, come on, really? He passed for 6 touchdowns against the Chargers. That was not with his legs. Even if you want to call him another scrambling left-handed quarterback, all right? You'll have other examples like Patrick Mahomes. Really, you're gonna say that he had the same 40 time as Peyton Manning? I'm not going to consider him a mobile quarterback, or at least a running one. And sure, yeah, you can have these other MVPs and these other accolades and make yourself look good. But when it came down to actually playing the game and trying to benefit your team, look what happened to guys like Cam Newton. Look what happened to guys like Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Look what happened to guys like Deshaun Watson. You know, heck, even Randall Cunningham, he had to go through a whole play style change too, just like Michael Vick. He went from being one of the best scrambling quarterbacks. What'd you hear of him then? And then went to Minnesota, became one of the best passing quarterbacks. Got closer to the Super Bowl then.
Mm-hmm. And that was against us that one year.
Yep.
So I mean, like I said, man, all I want to say, before I know you still got some time on here, but before you get off tonight, let you know, man, you continue to do your thing, because this shit can get real bumpy. It can get frustrating. It can be discouraging, because the people that are in our fan base, who claim to be in our fan base, will have you pulling out your hair. You see what I'm saying? They'll have you pulling out your hair. You will feel very unappreciated doing content. There's not a moment you can come on and do content without somebody coming in the comments and saying some stupid shit that you just go, where did that come from? You on the West Coast.
Yeah, I mean, but we still see it all the time. And guess what? I can go out here, wear this hat, and the busiest part of the areas that I live in, no one wouldn't care. All right?
Mm-hmm.
I would prefer that than for people to try to stop by and say, well, Ryan don't never do nothing, because if you had a mobile water quack, you would have been better.
Man, me being from Georgia, man, been a Falcons fan all my life. Okay, so I hate going there. Sometimes I hate going to Atlanta, and when I go to Atlanta, I have my gear, my Falcons gear on, because I love my team, even when I'm in my home city. And I don't know if you heard the story, but I told my same story. I went to Hateville, not Hateville, Georgia.
Same difference.
Inner city. It's the inner city in like South, it's Riverdale, some area right there, or part past that. But I went into Waffle House, went in there, and got something to eat. I walked through the door, no lie, period. Walked through the door, girl in the store, group of people in the store. Hey, you can't come in here with that on. Hold on. I am in Atlanta, right? Yeah, but we don't fuck with the Falcons. So what they got to do with me? Well, you just can't come in here with that on. Sad reality. And this is a city in the outskirts, not even 15 minutes from the city doing this. 15 minutes from the city, bro. People talk like that towards the Falcons. And I'm like, so if they win the Super Bowl, your fuck ass gonna be outside and just trying to get into the parade, right?
And they wonder why the fan base is like not showing up to the games. Dude, there could be other cliques like that in certain sections of the seating area too. That certain season pass holders. It's like, I'm sorry, I can't deal with it in my ear around my head every single time I go to the game.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, the other fan bases, they don't have to deal with that. Dude, why do you think we had like our best attendance in London when we faced the Jets? When we both had losing records. And everyone knew that that game had no playoff importance because it was so early in the week, or it was so early in the season that, again, nobody bothered to pay attention to it except all those people there. They didn't care about all that. They wanted to be loyal to the Shield.
In a whole different country, no. A whole different country.
A whole different background of people.
Oh man. You know, if you ever go to Atlanta, I don't know if you've been or not yet. If you ever go to a game in Atlanta, if you ever go to Atlanta, you better get your fist together. Because you might end up fighting. Telling you that now. Because just like we're diehard fans, somebody gonna say some slick shit out the mouth, they're gonna piss you off. And it ain't gonna be you who start the fight. It's gonna be somebody see you, know that you're a true Falcons fan because you're a
want to instigate.
And want to instigate. And it's like, why do we gotta do this? We're here supporting the team. I'll give you a better one. The Braves just won the World Series, right?
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you before the Braves won the World Series, a lot of Braves fans will know where to be found.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. I was like, someone told me that they were like favorites back in the preseason before the World Series even started, and that they had some reporters saying that, oh, hey, I correctly predicted that the Braves would beat the Astros in Game 6. And I was like, sure, you can say that, but how much confidence did you have in that when you still had to deal with the stigma of the Atlanta sports teams?
Yes. Yep. I'll get too over this shit, man. I say this right here, man. I'm 34. I'll be 35 in April. It doesn't matter to me if Atlanta Falcons win a Super Bowl during my lifetime, because I'm true to the logo, true to that. I'm a fandom. I'm a fan of the team. Okay, and once people start getting that in their heads to be a fan of the team, like you say you are, then nothing else should matter. Okay, you know, I'm not a Georgia Bulldog fan. I'm an LSU fan for college football team. I tell people that. I never liked Georgia, and then switch to LSU. I'm an LSU football team, but I'm not.
I'm not particularly attached to any college football team, but I will watch it just in response to a player because I'm unbiased when it comes to where people come from.
Yes, but as basketball, I'm not a Hawks fan. I'm a Lakers fan. And people always jump on my case about, well, LeBron left, so why are you still a Cavaliers fan? Because I'm a fan of the team. And so people have to learn to be fans, man. They have to learn to be fans. Not just during the playoff periods, not just during the time when the team is doing well. They have to be a fan. Take it as for if you got kids out there. Your kids still love you. Well, I won't say all kids, because some kids got devilment in them. But most kids, when they're young, they still love you through your mistakes and through your good times. So why can't that translate for you, as you say you're a fan of the football team?
You know, I had to like the sport first before I even liked the team too. That's something that really helps people out with that. Like once you understand the sport, from there it'll be a better gateway for you to decide which fan base you want to support, and it doesn't necessarily have to be where, hey, if you're not with the Falcons, then don't force yourself to be with the Falcons and then try to mingle with the community and just start a bunch of toxicity for no reason. If it doesn't even benefit you,
it's not doing nothing for you.
If you don't want to be this fan of a team, no one signed a contract.
No.
Okay? And sure, if you want to have the stigma of being a bandwagon, dude, that would be better for you because you weren't loyal to the team that you tried to be loyal for anyways. Just say you like certain people and let that be your own way of enjoying it for your own self.
And let it be that.
That's it. And then you won't get the flack for it. You can be whatever kind of fan you want to be behind closed doors.
Nobody's putting a gun to your head and saying be a Falcons fan. Nobody. You wasting your energy talking bad about Matt Ryan or somebody else that you don't care for. While everybody else who's a true fan is just going about their business. You sit here wasting your energy. Well, you got me fucked up.
You got other people. Shane Ellis saying, hey, I've been a Falcons fan since I was 7 or 8 years old. Hey, kind of same way with me. 32, fan of Georgia at the same time. But hey, sometimes it takes a young start to really benefit you with that. Because like your example said, like, hey, if you're at that age and you've learned the lesson of how to become friends with someone for a long period of time despite their mistakes, or maybe you see the example for yourself, maybe you caused mistakes and people still wanted to support you through them.
Yeah.
You can take that lesson to heart and put and apply that in other things. The word loyalty can be spread across however way you want to stretch it to, but don't misuse it.
Yes. Facts.
Okay?
Facts. Because loyalty is fickle nowadays, bro. Loyalty is very fickle. Loyalty these days is conditional. I'm loyal to
people are about as loyal as the last sentence they said.
Oh God, my wife is a Seahawks fan, and she's not really a big sports fan. She's a big. I should say she's a Russell. She like Russell Wilson, and
she might be switching jerseys now.
and that's her preference, because she never was a full-fledged Seahawks fan. She just had a favorite player, and that's fine. That's what you want to do. That's what you want to do. That's you. But I be in the house sometimes, man, and I'll be at the TV sometimes. Well, I used to be at the TV sometimes with the Falcons about some of the bad plays. One thing I don't like about football is I don't like bad football. I'm pretty sure you're the same way. I don't care who I'm watching on TV, what game I'm watching. If the Falcons got an off week or bye week, whatever, I watch football. I hate watching bad football. I hate it. And sometimes, man, it was so funny. My wife would come downstairs in the basement with me while I'm watching the game, and she'll come rub my back. She's like, "Baby, it's gonna be okay." But she told me one day, she said, "Babe, I understand because you're a true fan. You loyal, man. You loyal." She says most people won't get up and watch the same bullshit every Sunday, but you do. And that's how I feel about it, man. Loyalty is everything. If you're a fan of a team, be loyal to them. Be loyal.
And you had that example when I was brought on by Maggie to be, well, first of all, I actually wanted just to be the writer on the article on their website. So back when I was trying to do that, in the midst of trying to do my streams as well, kind of think of it, like I don't even know how I pulled that off, and I didn't even have like the knowledge or the experience that I have now. But anyways, like if you go back to some of those things, like I was making an article, like in showing you guys like pictures of the footage, and I know that certain pictures they can be taken in a negative, or you can cherry pick them however you want. But in certain times, I was trying to show like either why a play was successful or why a play had failed. And in certain cases, like when I had to rewatch the Washington game, I still had to take pictures of all the pain, and I still had to submit it and explain it. I still had to do that for the Bucks game and for the Philly game and all that kind of stuff. It's like I don't really do that anymore because it just got too much for me for my schedule. But at the same time, I would still want to do that if it helps other people learn about the sport. If it helps understand, like, hey, this is why this play was successful. This is why this play wasn't successful. And you got to watch the game by a play-by-play basis, because it's not just the results, it's the method and the process that can be repeated.
Yes.
You can't repeat the results if you don't know how the process was. So you got to understand that.
You got to understand the whole totality of the situation. You got to understand the whole totality of the game. The game is 4 quarters, right? 4 quarters. You can't take quarters 3 and 4 and diagnose how a game went. What was the full 4 quarter totality of the game? How it started, how it ended. Okay. They say it takes 2 or 3 plays in a game to possibly change the outcome of the game.
Oh yeah,
right.
Jew will talk you to death with that.
But
then they just want to they want to latch onto the highlights, or their favorite players. They make that one play, and then that'll be it for them. Then they'll dip out and then create their own narrative.
Who was that that told me it was 3 years ago, right? It was 3 years ago. Julio had 300 yards. 3 years ago. Right?
That was 2016 against the Panthers.
It was 2016. It was 2016. Somebody told me.
Benet Ben Wickery.
Somebody told me. He got released after that.
The next day. Man, got that Trent Dilfer treatment.
He did, real quick. Somebody told me that it was because of Julio we won that game. Motherfucker, who was throwing the ball?
He had 1 touchdown. We scored like 48 points.
Yes. So it's
all right.
Are we watching the same game? I don't know, man. Again, continue to be successful in what you're doing. Be prepared to take a lot of lashing. Be prepared to hear a lot of stupidity in your chats, because it's coming, and you already experienced some of it already. Probably not to the effect of what Mike and K Styles are doing, because people be going on their head. But just keep grinding, man, because I like what you got going here. You interact with everybody. You get an opportunity for people to interact with you on your chats. Also, another thing is, watch out for the other content creators. Everybody who's a Falcon content creator ain't always for the team, they are not always for people who root for the team. I'm starting to find out the hard way.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the guys that I told Mike, and he was on the call. I was like, oh man, that guy they do the Falcon podcast. I forgot his name. The bald-headed guy, black guy. Anyway. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
every time you come on the show, it's something negative. It's something negative. Logan from Rise Up Rundown, I called him out. I ain't with the nonsense. He do the same thing, and now he's more on the bandwagon of being a Dolphins fan because he's from Florida. But he started off as a full-fledged Falcons fan. I don't know, man.
Especially when you're in the position where you're trying your best to represent a team. All right, it's bigger than just yourself.
You got a face. Some people see your face.
Yeah, you got a face. You got opinions that are attached to you. You got statements that, hey, whatever you said, however it aged, it came out your mouth. It came from the tips of your thumbs, and you got to stick by that. Especially if you're trying to be a content creator. And knowing that stuff is what's trying to propel you to become more popular in the game.
Yep.
All right. When it comes to the matter of competition, and then you want to retract your statements and then try to have an argument with the fan base, dude, you're not putting yourself in a better light, and now you just lost a potential other viewers.
Yep.
You know. And sure, what we could be saying right now could tune other people off too. But guess what?
Yes.
I'm not fazed by it. I'm showing up here next week.
The same time. I don't know, man.
All right, I've had the responsibility of trying to prop up other people, trying to prop up their hopes, and then we lost. Came back the very next week after that reaction, knowing that other people didn't have the hopes, and I had to choose the same thing, and I had to show them that there's still a way to technically make this work. All right, giving people that opportunity to stay hopeful and to maintain a certain level of confidence in your own team.
Yes,
that is difficult, especially when you have no control of the outcome.
No.
Oh, by the way, my earlier stuff, I was also drinking in front of people.
Oh yeah, it's funny you said it because I remember that you had a drink. You had a drink. You was having a drink. Hey, but I mean, you was trying to show your true self too, man. You was trying to do you just had to tighten it up a little bit and be like, you know what, I'm in front of this camera. Let me set a different precedence with the people.
That was one thing. The other reason, it just ruined my body just the next day. For both reasons, it was just not sustainable for me.
I got you. So if you want to move into a more serious topic about the football team, more you can.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of had. It's hard to create titles at this point anymore, especially with like. We're approaching the last week of just like no man's land when it comes to content. Now we're starting to see the influx of things, but at the time that I hop on, that's when other things may have already been talked to death by so many other people, and I don't want to try to repeat conversations. So we're just like we could continue talking about certain other moves and stuff, but okay, well let's talk about how this all affects the Falcons, right? Okay. Because now you have the Seahawks that are at pick 9 instead of the Broncos. Mm-hmm. They have Drew Lock as quarterback 1 as of right now, but I don't know if they're confident in that just because he was a part of the deal. That just means that, hey, he's got a contract that other people may want. If he's a part of a system that he was successful in before, or at least a similar type of offensive system, because it's not as if he wasn't ever good. It's like they changed the coordinator. The year after, they showed that he had flashes of being good, like late into another season. So, yeah, you didn't really prop him off in the best. You didn't really put him in the best situation. So, whatever confidence level that Seattle may have for Drew Lock, it could be there, but it's just a matter of other quarterback needy teams, especially when they want to look at certain players in this draft. if Seattle takes a look at Malik Willis and think, hey, I made Russell Wilson into who he became, I can kind of take these same traits, knowing a similar amount of strengths and weaknesses that they both possess, and I can try to plug him in right now, you know, and that might work out better than another team that wants to trade up and get him, even if it's like someone like Pittsburgh that has weapons but doesn't necessarily have the O-line. Not saying that Seattle has no line either, but they can use the rest of the draft capital that they just bulked up with and get a bunch of guys to really fill in. And like I said, they got a lot of cap money, so they can take other people too, you know, if the Bengals don't get them first. So yeah, they can prop themselves up. Then you have, you know, the commies that they're still at pick 11 despite having their quarterback situation, as they would say, figured out. But now it can kind of change their tactic in the draft. As far as all this, like, now we're starting to see, like, I know the Colts, they don't have a first round draft pick, so I don't know what they can use in order to try to trade up more. Like, they could ask for a quarterback in this draft class, so they can try to trade. I heard that they were interested in Jimmy Garoppolo. And it's like, he's a name, you know. Maybe they can sign Jameis Winston or something like that. You know, it's like, maybe they don't want to have to try a proven, or they'll try their hand at a proven guy. Or maybe they can give like Ryan Fitzpatrick like his like 11th team to go on to.
Oh man, he's 50 almost, man. Now they probably go with you know, I wouldn't be surprised if a team like the Colts, man, they get up in the draft and they go with somebody like a Matt Corral.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, you know, Matt Corral.
And I don't think they really have to make that jump in order to get him. Now that other teams are trying to solve their quarterback situation now.
Yeah, so I'm not too high on Kenny Pickett, and it has nothing to do with his hand size. Nothing to do with it all, because you know they had the same issue. Teddy Bridgewater. It's nothing to do with his hand size. It's more so to do with he just got this thing about he gives me this Ryan Leaf vibe, and I don't know why he gives me that vibe, but he does. Like he's hyped. You know, they said the same thing at the combine. The most consistent quarterback at the combine, most consistent, right? And I have to remember in my head, everybody looks good in shorts and t-shirts. Everybody.
Mm-hmm.
What do you look by? What is the full body scope of you in pass? I seen what you did at Pittsburgh. I will take that away from you. You had a great season at Pittsburgh. Kudos. But when lights get bright, which NFL lights will get bright, are you going to fold like a lawn chair? Or are you going to go out and prove people that you can play at a starter caliber in that league? But I just get this Ryan Leaf feel out of it.
I mean, you want to talk about just like any guy that can look good in a shirt and shorts at the combine, like Tony Romo's story. He wasn't even declaring for the draft. He was an undrafted dude that they brought in just to be a thrower for the wide receivers.
Yes.
When the quarterbacks had to do whatever stuff, you know, whatever the case may be. But then the Cowboys saw him say, "Hey, you look good. You probably look better than the Drew Bledsoe, the guy that we have right now. Hey, we'll decide to take you in."
And took him in.
And it worked. For the most part, for better or less. But up until like 7 or 8 years into his career is when they started having questions, and it was more so about his injury history than anything.
Because he did have some bad decisions.
Yeah, so. You want to talk about people that can look good in conditions where, hey, even a guy that wasn't even trying to look good can look good in front of you accidentally, it seems. Mm-hmm. Hey, yeah, we'll bring you in, but did you have the other traits? You know? Hey, I understand that you look good and without your pads on and you have all this time to throw. But what you got to understand is when you make those combine throws, you can practice that stuff.
You can. You have time.
You can't practice 2 seconds of pressure.
You can't.
And even if you can, you also can't practice 2 seconds of pressure on the move on a third down with tight coverage to try to throw to too.
Yes. Yep.
The
windows are that open.
And guess what? You can't practice those situations when they come up because that's the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
All right, if you don't make that throw, you don't get another second. You don't get another third down. Nah, that's fourth down. You have to walk off the field in shame.
Because you couldn't perform on first and third down. Hey, I mean, as another guy in the draft that caught my attention, and it's the cat out of, what's his name? What the hell is his name? Oh, Rodriguez, linebacker out of Oklahoma State. I don't know if you remember him. Last name is Rodriguez. I seen him go through the drills. Now, again, t-shirts and shorts. But just looking at some of the combine is where people go in and show them the athleticism and different things. The guy looked very athletic, even more athletic than Devin Lloyd. But
yeah, Devin Lloyd didn't really do good in his combine either.
Did not. He ran a 4.7. Did not do well at all. He showed a lot of stiffness. But because of Devin Lloyd's name, he still will be a first-round draft pick.
And before we even hopped on, Alex was talking about how he doesn't seem to be as high as he once was on guys like Cal Hamilton because he ran like a slower 40 than they expected. And I was like, well, with the safety position and, other positions like linebacker where you can react to stuff, if you know the playbook and if you know what's coming up, like if you studied your opponent, you can get by with whatever attributes you have.
Yes.
If you don't have that wasted steps, if you don't have those wasted movements, you can make your own shortcuts that, hey, you can be like as fast as Micah Parsons, but Micah Parsons had an inconsistent problem where he just got to the wrong place faster than anybody.
Mm-hmm.
So that didn't really help him out.
Yeah.
All it takes is for you to understand your assignment and perform that well. And if you trust your instincts and if you're quick when it comes to reactions, which, he's shown throughout his entire tape, and Millie Mills, this dude was groveling for Treylon Burks at 8 for so long. And now even he has to admit that Burks didn't look as good as advertised.
He did not. But Millie Mills, look at it this way too, man. Because of their names, they're going to still be in high regards. Their names. And I brought up Rodriguez. Most of y'all are like, who the hell is Rodriguez? The linebacker out of Oklahoma State. Those guys showing athleticism and what they can do. Because remember now, somebody said that if you get these third and fourth and fifth round draft picks, they play harder for them because they feel they should be first round draft picks. But because of some of these guys' names, they're going to go ahead of a lot of the guys that should be taking those positions. And again, we got this because of the notoriety, we're going to take this guy. I couldn't be a GM, man. I've been on this a lot of people. Man, how come you ain't draft Jordan Davis? Jordan Davis ain't really showed me that. Not to come out, he showed me something. True,
but can you really think of all those many times where he would have to run 40 yards like that?
No.
With nothing else in front of him?
In front of him. Because people in front of you slowing you down, right? So yeah, you ran a 1.44 or 1.6.
Probably like a 1.6 10-yard split.
Like that. And everybody was like, "Oh, he beat Jarvis Landry." And I said, "Okay, that's all fine and dandy. What are they on the field? What are they doing on the field?
Yeah, when you're a defensive lineman, I mean, I've had friends in high school that were starting defensive linemen, starting offensive linemen, and what they teach you, you got to get low. You got to provide that leverage for yourself and get underneath it. Use your power, and if you can't do that, then use your own techniques. Jordan Davis struggled to get low during the entire combine. Like you can go back and watch those videos, and you'll hear in the background, if you have the volume up, you'll hear all the coaches yelling, "Hey, get low, get low, get low, get low." Every single one of those drills that he performed, they were telling him to get low. Couldn't do it. You know, not saying he's not worth it, because he definitely shown his worth for a team like Georgia, but can you take a couple people off that Georgia team and expect the same results from him? Because that's what we were working with. All right, we're not going to have the Devontae Wyatt, the Trayvon Walker, I'm missing so many other people too. You know,
the Tendals and all them. Yeah, you have all those guys. Quay Walker and all them. You're going to put you out there.
And that's it. Especially if we got to trade Grady to try to get you 2 other edge rushers and possibly the second round.
Yep.
Hide your ears, Calvin Ridley, but that's quite a gamble.
I love the word. I love to play on words. That was smooth. I like that one. I like that one. That Moffitt kid, man, out of Minnesota. I watched his tape, not just a highlight tape. I watched his tape. The kid showed me progression over a amount of time. He started off slow and got better. And that's what I look for in a player. Can you show progression? I don't give a damn about your superstar plays or your amazing plays here and there. Can you do it consistently?
Another guy that disappeared. I haven't really heard much from him ever since, from other people, but Majai Sanders.
I watched the combine with him, and they had him playing like he was out there playing linebacker, I think, in the drill. And he looked stiff in the hips a little bit too, man. He lost weight, but one thing that's concerning about Sanders was his strength, because he played at a high pad level, and a lot of the time on his tape, he's blocked out the plays. If you notice that, if it wasn't for Beaver, the linebacker, Beavers, a lot of them plays that other teams got past the defensive line on, and the running back would have broke one for Beavers, it would have been over.
I've heard that Beavers might be trying to apply for a middle linebacker.
Well, he got some pretty nice size on. I don't know how big he is, but I know he got some size on him.
Yeah, he ain't
like
no small fella. He is.
And like I like Sauce Gardner, but I also like Kobe Bryant. It's like everybody want to get Sauce Gardner the high accolades.
Really? I thought he was bigger than this. Apparently, Darren Beavers is only 6'4", 237.
You said 6'4", 237?
Yeah.
I didn't think he was that big. Good gracious.
I thought this was smaller than what he actually was.
Yeah. Damn.
Like, I was looking at him in the one-on-one drills when he was trying to cover tight ends in the Senior Bowl. I mean, he kind of looked the part to me. He just got a little too grabby, but I didn't think he was going to be that thin. I thought he looked bigger than what he's projected to be.
Well, we all know size and everything.
Yeah. So, I don't know, any other kind of final thoughts? I mean, we really went all overboard because is Trey sleeping?
Trey sleeping?
Or should I say hibernating?
The next time we get on, I'm gonna give his ass hell. I'm gonna give hell when he get on hell. So final thoughts, man. So clearing it up. The Falcons have a chance to go in, restructure a lot of players. We're not taking about trade, resign, not restructure. Resign a lot of players and get somewhere up between $30, maybe $35 million in cap space, right? If they choose so to resign. With that being said, I think this year the Atlanta Falcons are going to really surprise a lot of people. I'm not saying do something off the wall that's going to blow your mind in different directions. What I'm saying is that comment that Terry Fontenot made was, "I want to have my cake and eat it too," is about to be coming to fruition. I think they got something up their sleeve. The Falcons, this organization or this regime is very tight-lipped about a lot of things. And with that being said, they're about to come out. They're about to hammer on something. I don't know how big the sledgehammer is. It may be, medium-sized sledgehammer, but they're about to make some moves, man, to put themselves in a position to get back to winning ways. I won't say make the playoffs. I won't say Super Bowl, but to get back to winning ways. I think that's what Terry Fontenot and Arthur Smith, along with Kyle Smith, Ryan Pace, all of those guys are about to start doing. I see a couple guys start laughing.
And also, just looking at the rest of the conference window of opportunities, like our division, come on, really? Bucks are underneath the cap. Panthers are kind of stuck on Sam Darnold and Christian McCaffrey. Might give him another 3 more games, but that's their offense right there, just going kaput. Y'all need Jesus. All right, that's the one that you should really be rooting for. But when it comes to the rest of the conference, the Packers, they're only setting themselves up for this year, trying to make the run. Getting Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. I don't know where the heck they got that money, but they made the deal, and now they got they made that bed. They got to lie in it, because now that dang near killed them for the next couple of years. So they may not be all that great. But then the Bears, they're still struggling as an organization. The Vikings, there's some question marks regarding Kirk Cousins at the moment, and that's a big factor, especially when I just saw the rumors before we even hopped on that they're willing to trade Dalvin Cook. They're willing to trade Adam Thielen. They're willing to trade other guys, other key contributors. You got the NFC East. There's the Cowboys. Okay, but do you really fear them if you face them in the playoffs at this point? Come on, man. We were more scared of Seattle. We beat them both times.
Yeah, but so check this out, man. When the Cowboys lost against the 49ers in the first round, that wild card weekend, I said, bro, y'all are a bunch of good for shit. Y'all got all that talent. And it just let me know right then and there. The shit they said about Dan Quinn actually was true. He went back to that same cover 3 defense. If you notice that on that game, he played cover 3 the entire time.
Oh, but don't worry. Kyle Shanahan isn't going to recognize that, right? The guy that was on your coaching staff at one point. The guy that knows that you have a tendency to revert back to your ways.
The old ways.
Come on, man. And then, it was funny because I saw on the on certain things, it's like the Washington actually has a worse odds to win the Super Bowl after this Carson Wentz trade. It's like, I don't know how you figure that, but heck, I mean, if people want to make that comparison about the difference between Carson Wentz and Taylor Heineke, yeah, sure, you can have the difference on the field, but what's the difference in your wallet, huh?
Yeah, Yeah.
Are you going to be eating that contract that Wentz got? Sources say you might.
Yeah.
All right, and that could backtrack your team. I know you got quite the defense, but where was it the rest of the year?
You said what now about the defense?
I said they've been touting a good defense for the past couple of years, but where did it show up for them this season?
No, nowhere. Young went out. That's when he got hurt. And now with that being said, if they're gonna eat that contract with Carson Wentz, they ain't gonna be able to pay Montez Sweat. They already paid.
Ioannidis, they've been kind of dealing without him. You got Jonathan Allen and Deron Payne. I'm pretty sure one of them is a free agent this year.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, geez. Now the entire strength that you've been touting this entire time is just fading before you.
Fade into the wind.
Oh, but you got your corner set up, right? Oh, wait.
You playing, right?
They drafted Jamin Davis last year, their linebacker.
Out of Kentucky, yep.
And I was like, why?
And what did he do this year?
I've never heard him. I've heard more from Cole Holcomb. All right. Speaking of bad linebackers, let's go back to Philly, because they still got question marks with Jalen Hurts. They're not all that confident in him for whatever reason. I know the reason, but they're still figuring it out. You got key players on your offensive line that might be retiring. I know Brandon Brooks is already gone. Jason Kelsey's already teetering. You got Lane Johnson. He's getting up there. Now you got Jordan Mailata. That's good. That's 1/5 of your offensive line you can feel good about.
Yeah, but what else do you have?
You got some pieces on the in the secondary as well for that team. D-line is still it's there. Some teams can't even say that.
But they're getting up there.
Yeah. Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham. They can't stay on that team forever.
Yeah, 33, 34 years old now. I mean, both of them.
Derek Barnett, he's a free agent.
He is.
Mm-hmm. Ryan Kerrigan, did you remember that he was on there? He's also gone.
Since he left Washington.
Neither did Philly. And then the Giants, really.
Skip.
So then the only competitive division you got is we face them. But even then, like Kyler Murray, he's a little bit of a headache right now. Pun intended.
Speaking of it,
the Rams might be in shambles. And now San Francisco is going to be on Project Trey Lance.
And they got to play Trey Lance now because you're actually paying that guy $20 million to sit on the bench.
I mean, you drafted him at 3. So
you have no
stand
choice.
for something.
If you don't play him, it's going to look bad on John Lynch, Cal.
Because even if you were to try to sit him for as long as you possibly could and do like an Aaron Rodgers situation, you don't have your starter confident.
No.
He's not locked up. All right, he's being used as trade bait for other teams now. And who knows what Seattle could look like in a month from now. I'm not going to completely give up on them because despite whatever shenanigans that happened with them through the entire season, they still went 7-10 just like us, and they were touted as the better team than us in some cases.
Yeah.
Which I don't blame them when you compare rosters, but yeah, what I'm trying to say is NFC is not as scary as it once was.
It's not.
So I know that we got quite a task ahead of us when it comes to facing the NFC North and the NFC West, and then you got the third place guys. But all you got to do in order to make the playoffs and host the spot is just win your division.
So do you think the Falcons have a chance this year?
I'm certainly not going to take it away from them.
Okay, I agree. I think they have a chance this year. It's all about how
Down the list. It's like that's everyone in the NFC.
That's it. So we play.
All right, you got Rams in run it back mode. You got the Packers in win now mode. So they're desperate. So okay, you can kind of consider them 1 or 2 seeds if they remain intact. We don't know what that's going to look like because the Packers still got some moves to make, some sacrifices to let go of. But
3, 4, 5, 6, and 7.
They're wide open. If we can try to be, even the 7th best team in the conference and try to compete like we were this year. Like I like the 7th seed, not necessarily like when they have to face the 2 seed in the playoffs because that would only look good once out of the 4 games so far. But I like the 7th option because it gives other teams like us that competitive spirit late into the season. That makes even the subpar teams or the average teams, or however you want to call us, the mediocre teams and all that nonsense, they can still have a chance, and that makes everyone still feel competitive to know that they can still try to slip in at that last spot, or they can try to spoil someone else too.
Yeah.
You know,
like
why do you think the Jacksonville Jaguars were so competitive in Week 18 when they almost blew their chance at the number 1 draft pick?
Yeah, but they also they won the Colts playoff hope.
Yeah. Same thing with Detroit. They almost ruined a couple of teams' chances, like the Vikings.
Yeah.
I mean, heck, they blew the brakes off the Cardinals at one time too.
That was sad. That right there. That was sad. I looked at the.
So yeah, even if the Cardinals are another team that you want to throw up on there, I don't fear them after Week 10.
No, I don't fear them after the wild card.
So I know we ain't got money, but you give us a chance. I see this coaching staff trying to make a run for it.
And onto my full sprint. So,
but it all going to come down to what happens next week, and that's the next time that you'll catch us. So
I think people just need to simmer down, calm down, and let whatever happen. We don't own the team. We're just fans. We don't own the money. We don't own any of that. So it's best for us to just make sure that we are calm, cool, and collected. Let them people do their job. Let them do their job. They're there for a reason. They're in a position. If you could do a better job, you'll be in that position too. Let them do their job.
And if you can't, you look like Thomas Dimitrov.
True. So
just nothing but talk.
That's it. Talk, but no show. So let them do their job, and let's see where this regime takes us. So, and that's my final thought. That's my final take on it. So,
good one to have, though. So, with that being said,
when's your next time you getting on?
Same time.
Okay. I'll be here. Hopefully, Trey don't go to sleep and Alex's phone don't die.
Yeah, I'm specifically here because I can still charge my phone while doing this at the same time. Because if I don't have my charger, this platform will just plummet the battery life. You know, and I even saw you earlier you were reaching for your charger.
Yeah.
So
I get my charger. Shit said 10%.
it's real.
Oh yeah. Who we need to get on next though? You need to get Tony White on here.
I'm still waiting.
Look at
I'm still waiting.
Hey Tony, if you out there, man, you need to come on. You need to come on next week's show on Wednesday, man. And let's have some fun, man. I know you got a lot of insight. I know you got a lot of knowledge. So bring it. You ain't got to show your face, man. You just put a couple of words out there so we can all grasp onto it and give us the take.
Yeah, I remember just a little bit ago we were referencing about needing the proper equipment. I'm like, dude, I'm using my phone and I got a $20 tripod that I got from Amazon. That's it.
I'm on my phone right now.
So everything else you probably already have. You probably already have like a headset. Or you'll just need some lighting, even if you want to show your face, which is optional. You saw Trey and Alex. They were the only panels. You can just have a picture. And let that be it.
Listen, man, if you want to put the content out there, you'll get it out there by any means necessary.
All right, and let me tell you from experience, if you're waiting for everything to go your way, it won't happen.
We'll be waiting a long time. We'll be waiting a long time.
If I had to second guess myself before I submitted an email to Maggie about wanting to be a writer, you'd have never seen me. So I want to be that advocate to let other people have their chance. All right, and I'm still supporting other people too. That may not give the love,
Understood. So, with that being said, I'm gonna finish up this homework and try to get this degree. It sucks, but somebody got to do it. I guess the next time you say you live in the San Jose area.
No, kind of more further up than that.
Oh, San Francisco, Daly City area.
Further up than that.
Oh shit! What? Ready? You up here in Redding, ain't you?
Lower than that.
No.
In the Valley area.
Okay. I travel a lot, so sometimes I'll be in the San Francisco area. Sometimes I'll be in another area. If you're out, man, don't get me wrong. I'm not a creep. Don't think me of that. If I see you, I'll say, hey, what's going on, Noah? Like you're drinking something. Talk some more football.
If only my life outside of this was that eventful for me to be at places where I can be talked to. But you never know. So
you don't. So, but you be blessed, man. May God be on your side. I'm not a religion, but may God be on your side. Like I said, keep pushing. Because those naysayers gonna be coming. I'm not trying to tell you that to bring bad juju to you or anything, but there's a lot of them out there who go up your platform. Just keep going strong.
I'm still here.
So
you don't see me hiding my face because of that.
And I don't think Mike and K-Style gonna let you jump off anyway. They gonna get on and fight with you.
Yeah, I mean that's the side of it too. When you're in this area, when you're on this channel, hey, I got home field advantage here.
Yep.
All right, it's those other unsanctioned waters, aka Twitter, that'll get you in trouble sometimes. Hey, it won't even be there. It's just social media in general. Whether you can find that on TikTok or Instagram. I don't know if people argue on Snapchat or whatever. I don't even care about that app anymore.
I don't even get on Snapchat. I don't even have Snapchat.
I haven't had one since 2016. So
I don't got one at all.
but yeah, hey,
But,
this is our platform.
Yeah, and keep it that way. Keep it.
All right,
So-
and you'll see the chat. Everyone else out here that's sticking around 2 hours and 20 minutes after just for me, just for us. We ain't the ones that built this channel, but guess what? We'll support it,
Mm-hmm.
and we're gonna let other people have their say in it too.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Well, is it the same time here in Phoenix as it is over there? It's 11:20.
I look at my clock. It's 10:21.
All right, it's 10:21 when you at.
Yeah.
Oh, so okay, it's different. So it's 11:22 here in Phoenix. So I guess this is Mountain Time or one of them days.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, you be good to yourself. I'll talk to you next Wednesday.
You know it.
Take care of yourself.
Dude, everything's gonna unleash. 'Cause that's free agency.
I know. I got something coming for your ass now. So be prepared.
Whew. I got my laptop ready right here just for all the news. So
Shit, I got that phone.
That's gonna be it, everyone. So appreciate you
Take
guys
care,
tuning
Sam.
in. And yeah, see you next one.
Take care, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Rise up.